Here we have my planning template for the interactive module that I'm completing on interviewing skills. My target audience here are restaurant or retail managers that are going to be promoted soon and will have to do entry-level interviews as part of their future job responsibilities. This is probably the first exposure that they've had to interviewing skills, and for that reason, I'm keeping this content very focused on interviewing basics. So basic legal implications of interviewing as well as basic sentence structure. And then this module can act as a primer that will help set them up for success when they go and actually participate in hands-on interviewing skills training. The main platform that I chose to use here is Adobe Captivate. I was originally thinking WordPress, but I decided on Captivate for a few reasons. It's going to allow for full media integration, which WordPress would as well, but I appreciate the built-in assessments that Captivate supports. So I can use different question types and provide the learners with immediate feedback on their performance on the assessments. Lastly, I chose Captivate because I want to be able to sequence the training. Whereas WordPress was going to be a bit more free form and self-guided, Captivate lets me structure the information in the exact order that I want, which means that I can build upon what was previously presented, both so the learner can have a richer understanding and so they can be better prepared for the assessments. For my first main point, I want the learner to be able to distinguish between compliant and non-compliant questions. So the technology that I used here was first Captivate, both to present the information to the student passively, to give them an overview, but also to assess the student. So I'll use Captivate for a short answer response to grab the student's attention, not meant to be assessed, but more to get them reflecting and thinking about why this is important, and also to assess how they did with distinguishing between different types of questions. I will embed a YouTube video here as well that will give them some overview of the information. For the second main point, I want them to be able to differentiate between behavior-based questions and other question types. So again, going back to Captivate in order to present the content, give them an overview. I will create an iMovie video, role-playing an interview, kind of a good version and a bad version of an interview. And I chose iMovie because I can really easily import the video from my phone, and I will be able to edit it, adjust the sound if needed, make sure that I'm just including the most effective parts of the video. And then I'll incorporate Poll Everywhere. So again, meant as kind of that attention grabbing activity, a chance for the student to reflect. And they'll also be able to see how the other students that have taken this course before have weighed in on question effectiveness. Then we'll go back to Adobe Captivate to present information, and I will present them with an Adobe quiz, probably multiple choice, to see whether they can identify behavior-based questions, and they'll have immediate feedback. And then to end the training and transition into what will be hands-on training in the future, I'll ask them to actually create their own behavior-based interview questions. So I'll use the short answer format in Adobe Captivate and ask them to provide the behavior-based question that corresponds to a certain question topic that I'll present them with. And while they won't get immediate feedback on this, the instructor that will be doing the hands-on training will be able to use this as a way to customize training, see if they need to revisit any topics, and be able to provide feedback on their questions and even incorporate them into the training later on. For content resources, I'll use my own employer's proprietor information on employment law, question creation, but I'll also reference multiple employment law websites. And then for technology, I mainly use Adobe Captivate. I'll incorporate Poll Everywhere and iMovie for different passive and interactive learning activities. And lastly, I still plan to use WordPress, but likely as an ongoing resource as opposed to an in-the-moment learning activity. So in between the completion of this module and the hands-on skills training, the learner will have a chance to revisit content on the WordPress website. It can be self-guided as opposed to having to actually go through and complete this module again.